Hey guys, good morning. So this is day 2 of my cam job on my 2007 Ultra. Looking forward to getting that thing put back in and getting it running to see how it sounds, how different it rides. I'm just excited, man. I can't wait to get this going. So, hey, if you guys have not entered my current giveaway, I'm still giving away the 2009 Ultra and the 2010 Street Glide. I've been advertising them now for months. I know this has been going on long, but this is my first giveaway, man. You guys got to work with me and give me a chance. So share these videos with all your friends and family, man, so we could try to give these bikes away as soon as possible. I'm looking forward to give these bikes away, do this raffle, and actually buy another bike. I want to build another bike, so I need your guys' support. Thank you to my new subscribers. I think we've gained like probably 80 or 90 in the last 30 days. I've been working more on shorts. And so I want to say thank you to some new customers that purchased within the last 3 to 4 weeks. This is going, man. Let's get this going so we can give these bikes away. And with all that being said, let's get into this day 2 on the cams. Okay guys, here goes the cams. We're going to take these guys apart. Taking the 4 screws out of the oil pump. So happy Sunday, guys. Yesterday I went to a baby shower in Prunedale. It's probably about maybe 8 to 10 miles south of Watsonville, between Watsonville and Salinas. It was a baby shower, but you know, they had a taquero there, and all the husbands and the boyfriends and everybody were all invited. So this is the oil pump here, and you want to keep the gears and everything exactly the way they are. So man, what's on there? Let's do it this way. I should be wearing gloves, but so I'm taking the inner tensioner off. I'm gonna set it exactly the way it is right now. I wanted to get some hydraulic tensioners. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see, it just depends because I haven't ordered them yet, so. And you know, oh yeah, this is in really, really good shape. And my boss always tells me, you know, if something's in really good condition, it doesn't need replacement, then there's no reason to replace it, right? Goes right there. You want to take that clip, you want to set this little spacer right next to it. Let's see. There we go. You want to set that right there with that. That way we know what it is. Pull these guys out. Yeah, this cam had some wear to it, man. Let's compare these to the other ones. So here's the old cams, right? And you can see a little bit better how they have the wear on them. If you compare them to these guys, the lighting's not that great, but if you compare them to those guys, you can see all those wear marks right there. See that? And these guys don't have anything. These are the TTS 100s. These are like my boss's favorite cams. He does a lot of the dyno tuning. And for a 96, he says these are the best. Right now, my bike has like 64, 65 horsepower. I'm probably gonna get anywhere from like 96 to pretty close to 100. And I'm not sure what the torque is. Okay, so I got this, this inner bearing removal tool. So basically what it is this inner part actually snaps inside behind the bearing. It has a lip behind it. I'll show you guys. My apologies for not doing it before. And then this slider goes over it, right? And then you get your nut and your washer and you go over it like so. But before you do that, get that any tighter, you want to get this little rod here, right? And you want to get it in as far as you can. And this one's, let's see if it's tighter on the other side. Nope. So as long as you got that pushed in all the way, because it's hitting the plate in the back, you don't want to go any further than that. Hold it in, tighten this up till you can't tighten it up anymore. Depending on the size of your nut, this one's a 1 1/8. And you just start slowly tightening it up. And what that's doing with that rod inside of there, it's actually starting to pull that bearing out. This one's not so tight. The rod's not real tight either. Well, we're barely getting in there, so just keep going. It's probably sliding out fairly easy. Maybe it's not. Is the whole thing spinning? Yeah, the whole thing's spinning. So I got to get a wrench to hold this and then get a bigger wrench for that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this one with the 5/8 and I'm going to tighten that one up in the back so we can actually start to pull it out. There we go. So there it is. Now I can actually use this because it's grabbing and it's actually pulling it. Let me go lower so you guys can actually see. I don't know if you guys can see it coming out. There's other ways you could get a plate. The gyms are pretty expensive. There it is. Oh, there's already a lip back there. Oh yeah, these both have lips to where see, a lot of them don't. But this has a lip to where it stops. So basically, you can see the bearing inside of there. So let me screw this out. Let's get this all the way out so I can show you guys. You can see the bearing. You can see these lips right here. It's got like a little, it's rounded off, right? And then it's got that lip where it actually grabs the bearing, and the bearing can't go anywhere, so it actually pulls it out. See these bearings? The lighting's really bad in here, but you can see how these have a bearing, a roller bearing in a space, a roller bearing in a space. So these are the old original style, the Harley style. The Tim can make one where there's bearing all the way around. It works better. So basically the way it is you get this and you can't just push it in. You have to actually put your nut on there, get a hammer, and when this is seated, then you tap it in there, and it basically, when you tap it in, it basically goes in like that, right? And then you just keep pushing it till it passes that lip, and then it locks in place. Then you get this, you put it over, you get your rod, put that over, and sometimes the rod will, well, when you tighten it up, it actually expands. The rod's not, it's supposed to fit a little snugger than that. It expands those guys and makes it lock onto the bearing, and it makes it, and then as you're tightening it up, it's pulling that bearing all the way out. That's just a quick explanation on that. So we'll go back over here and I'll show these bearings to you a little bit better in the light. Okay guys, so I don't have the driver tool right now, the Jim's driver tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my old cam that came out to drive these in. So this is pretty much what I'm doing. I took one of the old bearings. Let me see if you could see this way better. Maybe that way, yeah, right? So you can see how this has a roller, right? See the roller bearing, and then a space, a roller and a space. Well, these are the new Timkins. You see how these are like bearing all the way around? So what I'm gonna do is I already put assembly lube on this. You wanna put it with the letters outside. Where's the letters at? There they go. Facing out. So it's gonna go in like this. And I already put some assembly lube on it. And you just wanna go ahead and get it centered like so. And then just tap it in. And you'll know if it's going in straight. You could feel it. Okay, a little more. And you can hear that little ping, and that's telling you that you're in all the way. So I'm gonna get this one in now. That one's in all the way. And you can see how they're both in, right? And so I'm gonna blow everything off right now, clean all this stuff up, and that's it. So this goes off, and these are the ones that came out, the stocks. You can see that I tapped it, didn't do anything to this cam, even though I'm not gonna use it anymore. So I'm gonna toss these, and I'm gonna store these cams. So the bearings are in. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the cams together on the cam plate and the tensioners and all that too. Okay, so I've already put the bearings in. Now I'm gonna assemble this, this cam plate. You wanna make sure that you don't leave any kind of residue or anything on this. So I don't know if I told you guys what happened. What happened was I had to send the TTS 100s back. And the reason why is because you see how the stock cams have this little spacer pressed on, and these Screaming Eagles actually don't have the spacer because they're actually machined that way, right? Well, the TTS 100s did not come with this sleeve. They come like that from the factory. And so they only have this little center piece without this sleeve on it, which you need to fit inside those Timken bearings, right? You see how this fits perfectly inside that inner bearing and it spins, right? Well, that other one did not have this sleeve and it was just bouncing around. So what I found out is that the ones that they sent me, the reason why they were selling them open box like that is because the ones with the smaller fitment in the back without this sleeve are for the 88, 2000 or 2001 or 2005. They don't have that sleeve, and they're the TTS 100s that come that way are for a conversion kit. So you get a conversion kit because I guess the bearings in the 88s are smaller, and 2007 to 2017 or 16 has this size. So I had to send them back. I sent them back on Monday, and they actually gave me my money back, which is cool. So I'm gonna blow a bunch of this stuff off, and I will be back with you guys in a second. So you wanna put an assembly lube on everything, right? Put the chain on both of them first, and then you could slide them down, right? So it's off a link. You want to make sure you get them lined up perfectly down here before you put them in. There they go. And you see that those yellow markings? They're exactly the same in the front. So then you drop these two down in here. There we go. So they're dropped down together. I'm gonna use this washer. It goes there. And then they give you a new C-clamp. On this, you also have to pay attention. See that the back is flat, and that's the one you want to go in, and the front is usually rounded. A lot of people just don't pay attention to that. If you're going to do something like this, do it the right way. So that's in there. It's all nice and clipped. So now that one's actually in, and it's not going to come out. And so you want to make sure when you spin it that those dots line up. And then when you spin it around, there's a dot there. I don't know if you can see it, and a dot there. And it's lined up actually perfectly. I'm gonna get this guy on there. It's a tensioner. Use some blue Loctite on that. So these are 1/4 20 bolts. So you always want to go like 8 to 10 pounds on the torque on these. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my torque wrench. So it's set to 9 pounds right now. You're supposed to go 8 to 10, right? So I'm gonna go 9. There you go. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. I just like double checking. Yep. That's on there. Okay. And when you get it in like that, you want to make sure that it spins nice and free, and it does. Put a little bit of, there you go. So we'll set these back to right there. So this girl's actually going to be ready here in a second to go in. So I'm going to put these bushings, which I believe are the right size, back in the bike. And then the oil pump, I'm going to put that back in as well. So this is the O-ring that goes right here for the oil pump, actually right here. This sits just like that, and the oil pump sits there, just like so, actually like this. And those are the bolts that actually go to it. There's a technique to this I'm going to show you guys when I put this on. So I'm going to actually put these O-rings in there now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour assembly lube all over this, all over the chain. just help it to go in so much better all over the tensioner. It's not going to hurt anything. Bring this stuff over here. Okay guys, I made a major screw up. I wasn't recording that last one. Very disappointing. I apologize for that. So basically what I did was I put the new O-rings that go behind here for the two oil channels, the galleys that are in there. And then I put the new one in the back where the pump goes. I installed the pump by itself first. Then I installed the plate with the cams in the two Timken bearings in the back. After that, I torqued the 6 bolts that go to the outer cam plate. There's 4 bolts that are back here for the oil pump. And there's a certain procedure that you gotta go. You gotta pretty much hand tighten them, then you wanna go ahead and spin the wheel around a couple of turns, and then you want to torque it maybe 20 inch-pounds, and then you wanna spin the wheel again. That way you're letting the oil pump adjust to the camshaft, because there's gears inside, and if you go ahead and you torque that down right away without doing that, spinning the wheel, you're basically aligning the oil pump with the crank. And so it's a slow process. So then after you do it 20 pounds or 25 inch pounds, 30 inch pounds, then you want to go up to like 60 inch pounds, then you want to go up to 80 inch pounds, and then you keep turning the tire in between, and then your final torquing is 120 inch pounds, or sometimes even 130 inch pounds, depending. But they're 1/4 bolts, so you don't ever want to go more than 120. Just always go by your book, whatever it tells you to do. And then I checked the spacing on here. So what you do is you tighten the bottom gear down, the crank gear, and then you tighten the cam gear, and then you want to get a straight edge, and you want to make sure that you don't have more than 10 thousandths play. But since this is a SE55, which came out of a 2010 CVO, the 110 shim that I have in the back fit perfect. If I would have put like maybe a different brand, I probably would have had to shim them out, but they go in 10,000 increments. So this one that's in here now is the stock 110 shim. Then they go to 120, 130, and basically you're bringing it out. It can't have more than 10 thousandths when you put the straight edge on both of these in the back, or spacing, I should say. And so now I just put this on. I put these gears on. This gets torqued at 25. I haven't done it yet. This gets torqued at 35. And then these right here get torqued at around 8 or 9 pounds. They're 1/4 inch, but you don't want to go more than like, say, 9 pounds on those, 10 at the most. And so I got all that back on there, and that's it. So I got these guys lined up right here. And so I don't have the right tool. I ordered the right tool, but they sent me the wrong tool. This is actually for, I think it's for M8s. And you can see that there's no way I can get it in there. The gap here, it's supposed to be a lot smaller. So I kept it because I'm gonna be working on M8s as well. So anyways, man, I'm sorry. I wish you guys could have seen that process. You know, it's, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I really thought that I was recording for you guys. You know, it's very interesting to see when somebody actually physically does it versus somebody explaining it to you on the phone. So I guess we'll just move on from there. I don't have these gaskets here. I ordered them on eBay, and they should be here probably Friday or Saturday. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Oakland Harley tomorrow and pick some of these up. I do have everything else though to get everything going. I got the gaskets for this. I got all the O-rings for the push rod covers, the housing. I got all the O-rings and everything for that. So I can't wait to get this girl going to see how she runs, see how she sounds. She might sound a little different. I heard you can have some rough starts with the SE255. That's a reason why they want you to do the 4.5. Makes it easier on the engine. So you might have some ticking as well. I hope I have neither of those, but we won't find out until I get it done. So what I'm doing now is I'm soaking the lifters, because I'm getting ready to take care of that. And so you can see the bubbles coming up. That's basically showing that the oil is filling up the lifters, and it's getting all the bubbles out. Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm out here again. I'm back at it again. I'm trying to get the cams done on blue. I just kind of wanted to go over what I've done, I got the spacers as well so that I could get the back spacing perfectly on the back of the cam. And I got the gaskets in for the push rod covers. I got the push rods here. I went over that. So what I wanted to show you was how this goes together. So basically, when you get the new kit, you get the top part, right? The top tube. You put the cup in like so, then the spring is the same on both sides. So you could slide the spring in. You get your washer. One side's more rounded than the other. I usually put the flat part next to the spring so that it'll actually seat the spring really, really good. And then I put a little bit of oil on the O-ring, and then this is the bottom tube, right, which sits in the housing like so, just like that. And this is the top part. So the bottom part's a lot bigger than the top. So then this actually sleeve goes up like so, and then this tube comes out. Get a little bit of oil in there, and it'll make it a little bit easier to slide. So that's how that goes. And then when you're done doing the push rod adjustment, then that sits in there just like that. And you can see that these are a little bit, there's a difference in the sizes. So I wanted to just show you guys why I'm using the new ones. These are the new ones here, and these are actually the old ones. You can see the old O-ring, the actual washer there, the flat parts on the very tops resting against the spring, and then it goes just like that. So these are the spacers that I talked about. I have a 110 in there now. I went and picked up a 130 from Jim, and then I ordered these, come in a sets of 5. They're actual Harley spacers. They start at 110. They go increments of 10. So I have a 110, which is what I have in there now, and then it goes to 120, 130, 140, and 150. I went and got a good feel gauge because the one that I had started at 9. It started at 9 and then it jumped to 15. I don't know, they took them out, or because you could actually take them out. So 10 is what we're looking for. So these washers, they actually separate the cam. So the bottom cam, whatever one sticks out first is the one that you actually want to align your gauge on. So we'll say this, right? Your flat edge. So basically you want to line this up on the bottom, whichever one sticks out the most, you want to line that up on. And then if the top one is here, you want to make sure that you don't have more than 10 thousandths on the inside and 10 thousandths on the outside. So the top gear is actually tucked in versus the crank gear, right? Those small crank gear. So the top one, the larger gear, is actually tucked in a little bit. And so when I stuck the 9 in there, I was able to get it back there, but it felt kind of snug. So I'm gonna go to a 120 and see if it's a little bit better. So I wanted to clean these guys up. I explained this to you. These are the old cams. This is all the old stuff. I mentioned earlier that I have these in here and a cup of oil because I wanted to get them nice and filled up. You want to get everything lubricated really, really good before you actually start the bike. Let's get back on that side now. So I checked it right now. Thought I was recording again, guys, like an idiot. And this is a number 12. And if the 12 fits back there, then that's too much. You don't want to go more than 10, like I mentioned. So I tried the 10, and then I tried the 12, and I could probably even get a 13 in there. So it's got a 110 shim in the back, and let me show you. There's 5 of them. They go all the way from, here's the 150, here's the 130, here's the 140, and then the other 2 should be 30 and 10. There's the 110. You look at the last numbers there. So that's the first one, and then here is the 120. So they go in increments of 10. I'm gonna go up a little bit, and I think the 120 should fit perfectly. And then I remember to line up the holes when I do the timing again. Right now I'm just trying to check the measurement. So let's take that 110 out, take the gear off. We'll pull the 110 out. If you look at these by eye, you'll never be able to, let me get a magnet. It's hard to pull off. Any magnet that you use, you want to make sure you clean it really, really good. Make sure that there's nothing on it. So if you look at these, this is the 110, right? 110, 110. You can probably barely see it. This is the 120. So you can't even really tell the thickness. That 110 actually looks a little bit thicker than the 120. So I might even need to go 130. But you won't know until you put the gear back on. Again, let me rotate that. Where it's at. It's right there. No, it's way down here. I was looking at it wrong, guys. There it is. All right, so the bottom one's nice and tight. We're gonna get this guy loose, nice and snug, finger snug. Okay, there we go. Turn this baby back down here. Now I wanna check it again. That looks like it's exactly 10. Let me try the 12. I just want to make sure I can't get a 12 in there. I cannot get a 12 in there, so that's perfect. That 120 worked perfect. A 130 would probably be even better. I'm gonna try it. I want this thing to be as true as possible. People think that these cam jobs are easy, but they're not. You have to make sure this is a 130. You got to make sure everything's lined up absolutely perfect, because, you know, you don't want to, and if you guys notice, I got the engine strapped down because I actually jacked up the bike higher to make it easier to work with. And, you know, the ultimate way to do this, guys, is if you had a table, right? But I don't have a table right now. And so that's what kind of makes this hard to do if you don't have a table, because some of this requires like to torque these. At the shop, we usually bring the wheel all the way down. The bike's on a table and we just have, like, you know, the scissor jack that goes up with the wrench, right? With the ratchet. And you bring it down and you get that wheel down, and it's easy to actually torque those down, the rear wheel being on the ground. There it is. But I can't do that, so I don't want to let the bike all the way down because I got it all strapped nice and tight right now, right? So it won't go anywhere. All right, let's check this now. So I'm gonna get the flashlight and see if I can get any kind of a light behind it as I hold it nice and snug on the bottom. Oh my God, that's absolutely perfect, guys. Absolutely perfect. The 130 was absolutely the right one. So now I'm gonna leave that 130 in there. These are lined up perfectly. It's gonna be even, and there's not gonna be any fast wear, and gears being off will just cause all kinds of problems. So let's get the chain back on. So you wanna make sure that those are lined up just like that. So what we'll do is we'll put the top one in, and then we'll get the bottom one in at the same time, and there they go. They're lined up perfectly. Let me move the rear wheel to show you. There you go. See how the two dots are lined up perfectly? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this back on, but we're gonna use red Loctite. You wanna actually torque the red Loctite pretty quick. Get a nice little amount on there. This goes to 25, it's a 1/2 inch, 25 pounds of torque, and this is 35 pounds of torque. Get a nice little amount on there. You want to get as much as you can. Man, that 30 worked out perfect. I'm really glad I did this, because I was going to leave that 110 in there, and I was like, man, I don't know if that 9 is actually going to work. So I'm glad that I ended up changing it, because 30 worked out absolutely perfect. I mean, they're lined up perfectly, man, and that's great. All right, so let me get my torque wrench. So we're going to go 25 on the bottom. All right, that's 25, and we'll go 35 on that one. So there we go. So now we're going to get these guys torqued here as well. All right, that's 120. That's 120. Nice little wrench. Tekton. It's not a snap-on, but it works perfect for all the small stuff. All right, so now I'm going to get ready to put the cover on, but I want to wipe this down and clean this as good as I can. These are all torqued. Torqued these all to 120 yesterday. I aligned the oil pump. I rotated the tire about 5 or 6 really good turns, and did a 30 inch-pound torque, then a 60, then a 90, and then a 120, rotating the wheel at the same time. So I got some carb cleaner here. What you want to do is you want to get this nice and clean so you can get the gasket to stick, and if there's any old gasket on there or any old residue, you want to get all that gasket off. And sometimes you got to use a little bit of elbow grease. So I actually had these soaking in oil. Now I can actually take them out and drop them in. Don't let your gloves get stuck in there. You don't want any particles in there. That's why a lot of people don't like wearing these gloves, because I've had pieces of glove actually get caught, and you don't want to do that. All right, so once you get the push rods in there, these are your pins, right? These pins actually keep the push rods. They go right inside of here, and you got to turn the push rods on the flat spot so they don't spin, and that sits right in there. Can you guys see that? See how that pin sits right in here? This is the pin. It keeps the push rod from spinning because the rollers are actually going this way. They're rolling the same way. So if you didn't have that in there, these things would actually be able to spin. I'll show you on this side. So you got to get them like that, and then you drop that pin in there just like that, and it keeps them from spinning so they can roll properly. There we go, ready for the covers. So you want to make sure you get these gaskets in there the right way. So the wider side and this little guy right here is for the pin, and then we want to make sure we get the right, there's a front and a back, and this says front, so this goes on the front. You usually have an F and an R, so this is going to go like this, right? Because the back side's wider, and so this is going to be the intake. The inners are always the intake, and the outers are always the exhaust. Okay guys, I'm putting the bolts in. Sorry guys, I'm blocking you guys. So I'm gonna snug these up first, and then I'm gonna torque them. These are 1/4 bolts. All these 1/4, all these small ones are 120 inch-pounds. That's 120. 120. Go the back one. The back one. All right. Double check them. Yep. I like to go over everything twice, guys, because you always get a little more out of it after. Not always, but on some of them. Okay, there we go.